I wanted to talk about the chromatic scale. Chromatic scale is one of those things that confuses people. It's a big word, chromatic. What does that mean? Oh, it's something big and terrifying. Chromatic scale just covers every single note in Western music, all the notes that we use to create music. So if we look at it on our bass, it's kind of like playing every single note that exists, for example, from a low E up to an octave. An octave is the same note, an octave higher. So we have all these notes in between. There's 12 of them. And this is kind of where we build all our scales. All our music is built from those 12 notes. So obviously if you played every single note, it wouldn't be very exciting music. It's the notes we leave out that are important. If you leave notes out from those 12, you create your scales, you create your melodies, you create your chords. So we just need to look at this chromatic scale, this collection of notes where everything comes from, where we choose which notes we're going to use to create a melody, a key center of a song. Although we're not going to get into that here, we're just going to look at these notes. So the 12 notes. This is where it gets a little bit confusing because some of these notes have two names. They're called enharmonics. So for example, an F, a fret up, a half step up from an F is called an F sharp. But it's also called a G flat because it's a fret or a half step down from G. So if I played an F sharp, there's your F, there's your G, there's your G, sorry, there's your F, there's your F, there's your F sharp, there's your G, there's your G flat. It's the same note. If anybody tells you, ooh, G flat and F sharp, ooh, they're different notes. Well, they're not. It's the same note. Here's your F sharp, here's your G flat. So let's go through the notes of the chromatic scale. So we've got E, obviously. We're starting from E. Next note is F. So the distance between E and F is just one fret. They're right next to each other on your fretboard. The distance from F to G is 2 frets. You've got a note in between. This will be a sharp or a flat, depending on how you feel it. What you want to call it. So F, if you go up 1 fret, it's going to be an F sharp. You come down from the G, it's going to be a G flat. It's the same note. So let's see, what have we got so far? E, F, F sharp or G flat, depending on what you've had for breakfast, G. From G to A, you also have 2 frets. So there's a note in between. So the note in between, if you're looking at it coming up from the G, it's a G sharp. If you're looking at it coming down from the A, it's an A flat, but it's the same note. So we've got E, F, F sharp, G, sorry, F sharp or G flat, G, G sharp or A flat. Right, now we're up to A. 5th fret on the bass is an A. It's also the same note as the A open string. I want to work within the first 4 frets of the bass. This is the most important part of the bass here. It's kind of good if we get our chromatic scale down here. Okay, so we've got E, F, F sharp, G flat, G, G sharp, A flat, A. Our next note, we have the same thing. We have 2 frets, a whole step between the A and the B. So our next note is going to be A sharp if we're coming up from the A, or P flat if we're coming down from the B. Same note. Our next note is going to be a B. Now, the distance from the B to the C is just 1 fret. So, going from the B to the C, very straightforward. So we're now up to the C. So what have we? Let's go back to the beginning. E, F, F sharp, G flat, G, G sharp, A flat, A sharp, B flat, B, C. There's no B sharp, but there might be in some crazy music, but for our purposes there's no B sharp. We're up to C. So 1 note up, the distance between C to the D is going to be 2 frets again. So in between we have C sharp or D flat, depending on how you feel. We're up to the D. D to E, again we have 2 frets, so we have D sharp or E flat, and the next note is E. So let's think about this. We've got all these notes. Western music follows this chromatic, this pattern, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, then it repeats A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I started on E purely because it's the lowest note on the bass, it's the easiest place to start, but this pattern just repeats. Most of these notes have a note in between. There's only 2 locations where you don't have a note in between. That's between the E and the F and the B and the C. So that's important to remember. You're not going to get an E sharp, you're not going to get a B sharp, you're not going to get an F flat, you're not going to get a C flat. Everything else, D flats, G sharps, A sharps, G flats, G sharps, whatever you want. So that's the important thing to remember. Now the chromatic scale has every note in Western music. So it doesn't matter where you start the chromatic scale, you're going to play the same notes. It's not like if you play C major and then play D major. Those are scales built out of the chromatic scale and they've got different notes. So if I started out my chromatic scale on F, I would just play exactly the same notes I just played you. I would just go from F to F. So I'd go F, F sharp, G flat, G, G sharp, A flat, A sharp, B flat, B, C, C sharp, D flat, D, D sharp, E flat, E, F. So it doesn't matter where I play. There's only one chromatic scale because it's every single note. You could start it any way you want. You could start on F sharp, G, F sharp, G flat, G, G sharp, A flat, A sharp, B flat, B, C, C sharp, D flat, D, D sharp, E flat, E, F sharp, G flat. Doesn't matter, there's only one scale. So just get breaking through this myth of the chromatic scale. The chromatic scale is not something you're going to be playing everywhere. It's kind of all the building blocks of Western music. Everything we make comes from those 12 notes. So it's really important that we understand that. So the crux of the matter is, it's not the notes you play, it's the notes that you leave out that are the most important. A major scale has 7 notes, so you're leaving out 5 notes. So those 5 notes are important. Where do you leave them out? So that's how you build your scales, your modern Western harmony. So I hope this helps. If you go to mikestockbass.com, there's books you can download on this subject. We're going back to the roots of music. I don't think anybody covers this enough. So going back to the basic building blocks of music. It's kind of like if you looked at biology, going back to the cells and then building up into structures and creatures and whatever. It's the same with music. You've got to break it down to those building blocks. I don't think there's enough books out there covering this. Most people, they'll throw a major scale at you, maybe a chromatic scale, and then suddenly you're off in the stratosphere without getting those foundations down. It's really important we get these foundations down. So please go to mikestockbass.com and check out the books. You can download, I think, the first 15 pages for free and check it out. But whatever you do, get this information down. It's vital that you get strong foundations so that you can then build from there and become amazing players.